is Mandy Day, and this is my oral presentation for Nursing 309. The subculture that I chose was Indonesia. Indonesia is a very beautiful country. It is located between Asia and Australia, the continents between the Pacific and the Indian Oceans. It's a country that's made up over 17,000 tropical islands, many of which are still inhabited and unnamed today. There are more than 215 million people, including 200 ethnic groups, that are located in Indonesia today. The larger well-known islands in Indonesia they're known for their beautiful beaches, their rainforest, and their diverse landscapes. These islands are very rich with diversity and culture, temples, music, rituals, and they differ from island to island. Talking about the two elements in the Geiger and David Heiser models, the two that I chose are social organization and environmental control. The first is social organization, and in Indonesia they have a very vast range of ethnic groups with religious and ethnic differences that occur very frequently here. They have the largest population of Muslims in the entire world in this country. They're also very heavily populated with Protestant and Roman Catholic, as well as Buddhist and Hindu that are influenced from the Asian cultures. Peace is usually maintained among these different cultures and regions as long as the political and economic powers remain within their territories and their regions. There is always a lot of debate between the different powers and followers regarding the customs and what should and should not be allowed due to the very vast differences between these different cultures. Even things such as the calendar in this country have to include all of these different cultures within them so that there's not any conflict between the Muslims and the Catholics and the Buddhists and Hindus. There's also very many other beliefs that are not in organized religions. Witchcraft and sorcery also are among those top cultures here. These are all found with everyculture.com, which is a website that has a large range of resources that are all combined to give you the most up-to-date information on this country. During my interview with my informant, he happens to be half Dutch and half Indonesian, and he was able to kind of reiterate the information that I found on this country. Due to the debate with the different cultures, he was able to give me kind of a more in-depth version of what actually goes on there. And his family actually had to flee from Indonesia when he was only 8 years old because of the hatred between the Dutch and the Indonesian people. His family actually feared for their life, and he told some pretty in-depth stories. He grew up in Java, Indonesia. The second of the two elements is the environmental control, and kind of focused on nutrition within Indonesia. This has been more closely followed with an increase in it since the 1950s. It's been found that food consumption in this country is significantly not balanced, and there is a large of undernutrition that's running rampant. And actually, for the first time, they're even finding part of Indonesian an overnutrition balance. This has caused a great concern within the government, and they are actually working on dietary guidelines to try to better these countries and these islands to provide their people with better nutrition and well-balanced meals. There was an article by a gentleman named Skoserman, if I'm pronouncing that right, and the article is called "Taking the Development of the Indonesian Nutrition Guidelines," and he kind of focused on those dietary changes that they're trying to make within the government, which is where I found this information. Farming production is really big in Indonesia. They are very big with rice, vegetables, tea, spices, coffee, and sugar, and it makes up the mass majority. Rice is something that is produced and eaten in this culture with almost every single meal, particularly brown rice. It's served in all of the dishes, and again, that is also found on the everyculture.com as well. During my interview with my informant, I also found that how important this type of food is to the family and to the culture of Indonesian people. They also consider a lot of fresh vegetables and fruits to be very important in their diet meals. It's meals are carefully thought out and planned. The informant kind of gave a more big description about how they're very much into growing their own gardens, what we would consider organic foods. Gardens are raised and taken much pride in. Foods that have things such as preservatives, artificial flavoring, and that are massively produced are typically avoided with the Indonesian people. In regards to the elderly, comparing them with the Indonesian culture and our culture here today in the United States, you find a huge significant difference. The practices that we do here today, the elderly in the Indonesian subculture is they're very highly respected. They're considered very wise. They're not considered a burden as we here in the United States typically view our elderly people. But it is considered an honor and a privilege to be able to care for them. Elderly in the United States are also often dismissed and typically overlooked, kind of just thought of as demented, where people in Indonesia, like I said, it's considered an honor to take care of these people. Here in the United States, again, we would typically, at some point, they would be placed in a facility or a home and cared for by others. Where in this culture they would be taken care of by the family members until their passing. This was another topic that my informant felt very strongly about, and like to go back to the way that the Indonesian culture, it felt that was the proper way of taking care of the elderly and the loved one, and felt that the United States, that is something that they could improve upon and enlarge. Also, in regards to nursing care in Indonesia and implications, there are several things that nurses can do here to help this country. Right now, they're having an Asian flu epidemic, which is also known as the H5N1, and it is increasing. According to the World Health Organization, or the WHO, the WHO, there has been 191 cases with 159 fatalities thus far in 2012. There's an increased need for this education about this virus and how these people can help themselves to prevent obtaining this virus with them or their family members. There is an extreme nursing shortage in this country, and this is something that the government is trying to work on to improve the situation. But again, that's going to take time, money, and effort from those people to go out and to be able to spread the education, not just for the Asian flu, but the other epidemics that are going on in this country, such as measles, leprosy, and malaria. Those are another top diseases that are spread through this country at this time. Diseases, other things that can really be focused on is nutrition, when we kind of already covered that, but because of the amount of nourishment in this country, nutrition and even prenatal care is a big concern, and something that nurses could really go in and play a big part of. If they can just increase the nursing shortage, that would be a huge help to this country, just helping with the education. In conclusion, Indonesia is a very beautiful country. It's very rich with unique cultures and customs, and just as any other country, it has its positives and its negatives. I feel that through the research that I obtained, I was able to learn a great deal, and my informant, again, just kind of reiterated everything that I learned, kind of put it into a better perspective. I thought it was pretty cool how it kind of matched up with what I read and what he taught me. I want to thank you again for listening to my presentation, and have a good day.